right, welcome back to Greatness at Any Cost. I am your host, Devin Williams, and this is also your host. I don't know why I said it like that. We are your host. I'm Devin Williams. This is Jonathan Vicarian. And if you think there is absolutely nothing wrong with the Arena Shuffler and that it is just absolutely fine and there's no need to fix it, then this probably isn't the podcast for you. But I digress.
No, man, no problem whatsoever.
I had to just put that stab in there because I was playing Arena earlier and it was like, it seemed like I only had cards. So I was playing mono red, historic, like Embercleave red, and I only had cards in my hand that were like 3 mana and above. And you know how many 1 and 2 drops that deck plays? And I only had it seemed like every hand I had was like Anax, 2 copies of Embercleave, Torbran, and it was like, what? There's so many 1 and 2 drops in this deck. Like, what? Yeah, either that or there was one game I just drew like 9 lands in a row, and I only run 20 lands in that deck, and I legit drew like 9 lands in a row.
Ouch.
And I was like, the shuffler's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I mean, hey, we've talked about this before. It's like the accountability. It's where you place the blame.
Yeah.
Like
when I shuffle and it's messed up, it's just like, okay, fine. Like, it happens sometimes in real life. Okay. But when you're playing a digital game and it just, you know that, like, in real life, there's like an element of randomness in real life. But when it comes to like a digital algorithm, you know that algorithm, like, let's just say, this is a number I'm making up. Let's just say like 1 in every 50 times, it makes a conscious decision to screw you over. Like, it consciously screws you over. Like, Wizards had to program that into the algorithm. Like, 1 in 25 times, you draw 6 lands in your hand. Like, so you know that it's not like, I'm doing like air finger quotes for people that are just listening. You know, it's not like completely random. The randomness is programmed into it, and by randomness, it's like you get screwed over every now and then.
I don't know. I'd have to see how the programming is on it and everything like that.
I mean, I'm not a programming expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I would just imagine that, like, it can't be truly random. There has to be some level of like planned outness to it, and so when you get screwed over, it's just like, oh, it was just my time. Okay.
Well, yeah, a while back, there was the whole problem where decks were running like 16 lands because they would always have 2 lands.
Yeah, it was like every time in your opening hand you had 2 lands no matter what. So you're like, okay, so I'll just play super small aggro decks and run 16 lands and always get 2 lands. Like,
it's possible that they still have to figure out some of the right formulas to run for it.
So, okay, one of the things that really bugs me about Arena, this isn't the main topic of the podcast, by the way. I just kind of going off on a tangent here. But one of the things that really bugs me about Arena is, like, when you're playing in real life, there's a, like, decision between the 2 people. Like, we're going to flip a coin or we're going to roll dice to see who goes first.
Arena just picks.
Yes, I hate that. I don't think it would take, again, I'm not a graphic designer or a programmer or anything like that, but I can't imagine that it would take like a tremendous effort to put in like a dice roll function before every game. It's just like it would pick someone that gets to roll or a coin flip. Literally just like a coin flip feature, heads or tails, boom. That way there's no like we both rolled 6s. Like there's just a coin. Like on the top right hand corner of the screen, there's like a coin, and it picks somebody, and you get to spin the coin and like pick heads or tails. Like, sure, okay. I feel like that would, because what I've noticed with Arena that seems super wacky to me, because it's completely contrary to how real life works. When I'm on a winning streak, I always seem to be on the play. And when I'm on a losing streak, I always seem to be on the draw.
I would second that. I've had that happen as well.
Yeah, that's directly the opposite of how it is in real life. Like when you're winning in like a real tournament, you're always on the draw when you're winning. Like if me and you played a set right now, we're gonna play 3 games. If you won the first set, you would be on, or the first game, you'd be on the draw the next game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, so that's always super weird to me that there isn't any kind of like decision between the players. I think the interaction functions between Arena. I think the interaction functions between players on Arena isn't that great anyway. You only have your like 5 emotes that you get to click on. There's no chat function.
See, I don't even do that. I mute people as soon as I start playing.
Yeah. But there's no roll function or coin flip function to decide who plays. There's no chat function. You can't communicate with your opponent in any other way than like hello or your go or like nice or oops or like whatever the emotes are. Like it just seems kind of ridiculous to me. Like I get that it makes the game. Well, it just goes to show you that WotC has paid attention to like other games. Like no matter how quote unquote family friendly you might think a game is for your children, the minute they get online, it's not family friendly. Like Call of Duty is not family. Like Warzone's fine. No, it's not. Like the lobby in Warzone is not fine. Like it's not fine for your 10-year-old. Like it's not. So I understand that WotC's like they completely control the like quote rating of the game. Like it's a G-rated game, and you can scream and cuss and throw your headphones and say whatever you want to at your computer screen if whatever's happening to you is happening, but your opponents are subjected to that at all. So I do kind of appreciate that about it, but I do also kind of wish there was like a chat function or something that you could communicate directly with the person you're playing against. Like
I like that, the ability to do that if it's on or with friends.
Yeah.
Like against random people, I don't want to have to deal with any of that.
Yeah. Like if you're just grinding your dailies out, I don't want to deal with having to talk. I'm just trying to play 30 red spells, bro. Like I don't want to talk to you. Like okay, sure, but
that might be the other thing that they're trying to prevent is just people getting on there and playing it just to do their stuff and get off.
Yeah, it could also be a thing where like maybe that's something they're working on or they're working toward in the future. They just didn't want to like put it in too early and it be just like a the Wild West or whatever, if you will, right? Like, so maybe they're kind of working toward a slightly more interactive like experience between the players, but also finding a way to like keep it in that like G/PG realm to where people aren't just like saying whatever, like just cussing left and right and saying God knows what, like to 10-year-old kids trying to play Arena.
Also, from the other side of that, like yes, it's to keep like people from being obscene to each other.
Yeah,
but also how many times have you been at a F&M or something and someone like lost to you and they just get irate? Having that feature where they have that, they have to put in a report system to report people who are being obscene.
Yeah.
And that opens it up to someone losing in a game and just immediately filing a claim.
That's a good point you bring up too. You cut out the entire need for that report system. There's not a person that has to fill those reports or go through them. Like I'm sure other games probably have like Call of Duty probably has a whole team or a whole department of people that's literally all they do.
And so to really enforce that correctly, you have to go through the legal processes of drawing up contracts and having people accept the thing that they are going to record the games in case there is a claim and they can go back and listen to it and things like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of legal work in it, and maybe they're trying to push that, but maybe they just don't want to have to deal with it.
No, that's a good point. Like they save themselves a lot of hassle by not even having the function available. So I get that.
Like, how mad would you be if someone reported you for being obscene because you beat them and then you lose all of your money you've already spent on Arena?
Yeah, no, that's fair. So yeah, that was kind of a good tangent on Arena, I guess. Like I said, I was just playing Arena earlier, and that was kind of something that was on my mind.
Both sides of the story.
Yeah, but the real topic today. So last podcast we talked about people's opinion about the color white. how it kind of gets a bad rap for being a weak color, but how it actually has some strong features if you know how to like applicate them properly in building decks and stuff. So the other side of this coin, like legit, just the complete other side of this coin, is green, and why it's ridiculous, and why WotC just puts whatever mechanic they feel like putting in green, and how the color wheel just means absolutely nothing when it comes to the color green whatsoever. So, like, when Magic first got started, there was kind of this, like, quote, color wheel. And everything on the color wheel had, like, kind of like themes. Like, blue had its own theme. Black had its own, like, you know, red and green and white all had their own individualistic themes. Like, white was all about, like, gaining life. Blue was about card draw and counter magic. Black was about like removal, except for Dark Ritual. That I've never figured out how Dark Ritual fits in the black color pile at all. But whatever.
It fits into it amazingly, Devin. That's how.
You know, red was all about like direct damage of fast creatures, and green was kind of about like ramp and like big creatures and like things with trample. And everything kind of had its lane that it kind of stayed in. But over the years, we've seen like removal spells in white, card draw in black, card draw in red, creatures with trample in blue, and then literally everything in green. And I guess like the point of this episode of the podcast is I kind of wanted to kind of delve into green from like I don't know if I'd say like a psychological aspect, but just from the aspect of like what's going through WotC's collective brain as they're over the years just like ignoring the color pie completely and just really making green so like blatantly overpowered and like oversaturated with mechanics as opposed to the other colors.
Yeah, I mean, I have my own, thoughts on why it happened, but
I want to hear. Let me hear them.
So, as you were already talking about, each color had their own thing that they got to do. Like Lightning Helix was a good one. Gain 3 life, deal 3 damage.
Yeah, well, that's a gold card, so you get you get the life gain from the white and the damage from the red.
Exactly,
that makes sense to me. Like
they started with like the single wheels, and then they slowly started melding cards together, and then they like completely crossed them to where they're like on opposite sides now.
Yeah,
Green's problem was they were big stuff, so all the other cards started getting big creatures because there are big creatures in every color.
Yeah, you started getting big black creatures, big blue creatures, big white creatures, big red creatures. Yeah.
So it's like they get bigger creatures, but their abilities start shifting to the other sides. So now it's like all the colors get big creatures that can just devastate a board, while green gets big creatures that can devastate boards, but with every keyword, period.
Yeah. So, like, now all of a sudden, where it used to be like, if I wanted a 5/5 finisher, I had to play some terrible black card, like Singar Vampire or something. Or I could, like, play green. I could play black for the removal, and I could play green for, like, a better creatures, so I'm playing a multicolored deck. But now that the other colors are starting to get better creatures, but green's not getting better spells. So it's like, here's my green deck still with just like ramp and big things in it. And black is like, well, I have removal spells and finishers now. Whites and blue are like, we have, removal spell and card draw and finishers by ourselves. It just seems like they grossly overcorrected with green and just gave it everything. Like,
yeah, it does seem that way. Most definitely.
Like, I'm looking at a card right here. I'm looking at the Modern Horizons Mythic spoiler page. And, like, this card, Endurance, it's like a 3... it's a 3-mana creature
that the 4/3?
It's a 3/4.
A 3/4.
Yeah, it's a green, a colorless. It's a 3/4. It has flash and reach. So, like, okay, if it would just
That in itself is amazing.
if it was just a 3-mana 3/4 with flash and reach, like, that's gross, and that's a great card. That's a great card. But it has, when Endurance enters the battlefield, up to one target player puts all the cards from their graveyard on the bottom of their library in a random order. Okay. It also has Evoke. Exile a green card from your hand. So for one green card that you don't care about at all in your hand, you can just be like, chunk this, evoke this. It has flash, by the way. Wham. Thanks for coming. Like tap out on your turn, play something you want. Your opponent's like, oh, they're tapped out, cool. And then you just like chunk some crappy green thing and you slam this thing. Like,
the interesting thing about Evoke, you can stack them.
Yeah.
With that ability, so that it goes to your graveyard, then the shuffle,
and then you get it all back on the bottom of your library. Yeah.
So that you get it on the bottom of your library, and that card doesn't go to your yard either, or stay in your yard.
Here's a really good. So here's a really good example. At the very top of the Modern Horizons Mythic Spoiler page, you have these 5 cards: Solitude, Subtlety, Grief, Fury, and Endurance. And they're all supposed to be cards that are designed to be on theme with their, quote, lane of the color pie, right? But Solitude, which is white, Subtlety, which is blue, and Endurance, which is green, all have flash. Every one of them have flash. Now, Endurance has reach, Subtlety has flying, and Solitude has lifelink. So that's a little more in line with their kind of lane of the color pie or whatever. They all have Evoke though for just one card of their color, which is crazy. The red card Fury has double strike. And
really good.
Yeah, a 3/3 with double strike. But it's 5 mana.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, it's Evoke for 1 red card, but it's still for 5 mana. Grief is 4. So, okay, Solitude is 5, Subtlety is 4, Grief is 4, Fury is 5, Endurance is 3. You just always have that advantage there with green, it's just cheaper to play. And it has every one of these cards has 3 power, but Solitude's a 3/2, and it has lifelink. Flash and lifelink, okay. And it has an ability: when Solitude enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 other target creature. That creature's controller gains life equal to its power. So that's actually kind of a good ability right there. It's got flash, wham, it exiles a thing. Yeah, they gain life. It's Swords to Plowshare on a stick, on a really good stick. But I don't know, man. It just seems like for 5 mana, I mean, I get, okay, Evoke, exile 1 white card from your hand. Sure, whatever. But still, if for some reason you can't do that, 5 mana is just a lot for this. Subtlety, the blue one, it has flash and flying. When it ETBs, it shoots up to 1 target creature spell or planeswalker spell. Its owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. So the way this is worded, would it not get them if they're already resolved?
No, it has to be on the stack.
It has to be. So it's basically a counter spell.
Yep.
Okay, for creatures or planeswalkers.
Yep,
okay.
That's that one. I understand it having flash.
Yeah. But just okay, a 1 mana counter spell. Okay, so this is Force of Will on a stick, kind of.
Not as good.
Chunk of blue card, counter your thing.
Because it can't get non-creature, and it's only creature and planeswalker, right?
Yeah, you can't get enchantments or other spells.
Yeah, can't get enchantments and sorceries and instants.
Limited counter spell. But still just 4 mana. Okay. Grief, see, when it has Menace. Okay, so Subtlety's a 3/3, Grief is a 3/2, Fury's a 3/3. Well, you just... when Fury ETBs, it deals 4 damage. among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers. Like, okay, when grief enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. They discard that card, so it's got Thoughtseize built onto it with no life loss. Okay, sure, but like for 4 mana, and Fury for 5 mana, like just Endurance being 3 mana, and like having the abilities it has, like again, to me, it just always seems like green has that extra little, like, I'm just marginally better than everything else. Like, I have the keywords, I have the abilities, I just cost 3 mana, and I have a bigger butt than everything else does. Like,
yeah. I mean, okay, let's be honest, it's got to have a bigger butt. It's Endurance.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a little bigger on the backside.
I get that it's on flavor, but like...
But make it a 2/4. Even it out a little bit.
Or like a 2/3. My only beef with it is that all of these other cards... So this is kind of the litmus test for Modern, right? All of these other cards dot a lightning bolt. Endurance doesn't dot a lightning bolt. It doesn't dot a fatal push like right off the bat either. Like they have to be able to trigger the revolt in order to kill it with fatal push. So it's semi-fatal push proof, and it's definitely lightning bolt proof. So it's like, okay, like, and then we were talking earlier about that storm card,
Chatterstorm.
Yeah,
1 green and a colorless. Create a 1/1 squirrel with storm.
I'm trying to find it on here.
It should be a common considering that it's breaking Pauper.
Oh, why can't I find anything? Well, anyway, you read off what it does. I don't have to look it up. But yeah, so like that's here we go. So no, it's 2 mana, a green and a colorless. Yeah. Okay, a green and a colorless sorcery. Create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token, storm. So like, this is just not what Storm needed. Like, why? Like, I'm so upset by this. Like you said, like in Pauper, this is probably just ridiculous.
I've watched some videos on it already, and it is destructive.
Yeah.
Because they play a red card with it that makes it so that whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control this turn, they get a 1/1 counter and gain haste. So you combo off, get a bunch of storm count, play that, and then you get a bunch of either 2/2 squirrels with haste. I've seen a guy do it and do a bunch of 4/4 squirrels with haste.
Oh my god.
It's pretty gross. Like, green doesn't need something like that. Like, WotC already had the problem with Storm, where they have nerfed it into the ground.
It seems like every time they nerf Storm, you think, okay, cool, like this deck is just unplayable now, and then they print something immediately after they like ban something from it.
It either makes it exactly what it was or a little bit better.
Yeah, and it's just like, what are you guys doing? Like, what? And WotC, they say all the time like that they hate Storm. They say they don't like the mechanic. They think it's toxic. That's why they're banning such and such. And then they print a bunch of stuff with Storm on it. And it's like,
they're the ones who coined the Storm scale.
Yeah.
It's like, just keep printing Storm stuff. Okay.
So one of my biggest issues with green, like having this particular mechanic, and again, like we're probably going to talk about some cards that they seem conditional, but in context, they're just really not. Green having the ability to not only ramp, but also card draw.
Well, okay. Not even just those two. Green has life gain.
Yeah.
Green has card draw. It has ramp. It has destruction. It has graveyard recursion back into their libraries, so mill's not as effective. Like, they have big things with every keyword you could ever think about. Like, if you want to splash it like blue with it, there are hybrid cards that do counter spells.
Yeah.
Like, It is ridiculous.
I got frilled mystic earlier, and I was real salty about it. Speaking of creatures with flash that are also counter spells. I mean, just think about that sentence. Creatures with flash that are also counter spells. Like,
let me end your turn growth spiral on turn 2, so that turn 3 I can frilled mystic your 3-drop, and then still hit you the next turn with it.
Yeah, like, so this is something we've talked about a lot. Is like the fundamental nature of the game transitioning from like spells. So back in the day, Magic used to be primarily a spell-based game. You were playing sorceries and instant spells and like enchantments and stuff, and then you would run like you'd run some creatures to win the game to like help you get there. Or people played like artifact decks that were just nothing but artifacts that let you draw cards and have extra mana, and you would try to like out-tempo your opponent, and then you'd play like a creature that would win you the game or something, right? And so the game kind of had like this kind of like fundamental build to it. But over the years, it's become a creature-based game with spells that kind of like supplement your creature package. And the creature package has become ridiculous over the years, because we talk about this all the time about something being X on a stick. Like, this is swords on a stick, or it's such and such on a stick, where basically they take an old card or an old ability and they just strap it to a creature, slap a bunch of keywords on it, and then you just have a ridiculous creature that like my first real like where I first started to notice it getting like out of hand was like Siege Rhino. I was like, this is okay, hold up. Like a 4/5 creature with trample that has lightning helix attached to it, like more or less. Like, you can't blast a creature with it, if I remember correctly, but it just drains them for 3 and you gain 3.
A 4/5 for 4 mana.
Yeah, a 4/5 with trample for 4 mana. I'm playing that anyway, probably, right? Like, yeah.
Done. Good card.
But now it drains them for 3 and you gain 3 too? Like, and I remember playing that card, because I played that deck. I remember playing that card and being like, wow, okay, this card is really powerful. And then you just started to see other, like, from there it just kind of snowballed into, like, it seemed like every creature has a plethora of things on it now. I mean, and look at, like, oh my god, what do I always forget the name of the set? Eldraine. The Eldraine set with like the story cards, the storybook cards or whatever.
The adventures?
Yeah, the adventure cards. Like, now you get to do like 2 things. Dude, some of those cards have some of the most like replayability as far as cards go to me. Like, look at Murderous Rider. Like, being able to kill a creature or a planeswalker on the same card that has a 2/3 lifelink guy on it.
Used to, we just had to deal with flashback.
Yeah.
Yeah. You cast a spell, you could get it back later, but it's the same spell.
Yeah.
And then they did, Aftermath, where you can cast a spell from your hand, and then you get a secondary effect if you cast it from your yard.
Yeah.
Like, those were interactable.
Yeah,
people could get rid of those.
The adventure cards aren't interactable. Once you've resolved the sorcery or instant side of it, the card is in exile. Like, and you just get to play that other part whenever you want.
You can, but it's so hard and it's not worth it. Like, you're going to do what? Like, put a card from exile into their graveyard?
Yeah.
Put a card from exile back into their deck? Like, the whole point is, like, you're trying to take cards from their graveyard and deck into exile.
Oh, now you gave them the other side of the card again later, yeah. But it seems to me like that was kind of the trend going forth for starting, back years ago, and then kind of building up to now, to where it was like, we're just going to make all these creatures have really dope, like, enter the battlefield effects or just static abilities or whatnot. And it seemed like, as that kind of progressed, green just got even dumber. Like, some of the green things, man, you're just like, okay, now these green cards just like, they draw you cards, they gain you life, and they're like 5/5s with trample for 3 mana or whatever they might be. Like it.
Like, look at it's not a creature. Look at Death Sprout.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Destroy something
dude.
and ramp you.
That card is ridiculous. I mean, to be fair, it's a green-black card, but destroy something and ramp you. Like,
but that's the thing. Like, green, even if it's not mono green now, green is into like all these other colors, and those cards get so much play because they're so good.
oh yeah, 100%.
And then just the mono green cards are so overpowered compared to the colors that they even splash with.
Well, like
That
okay.
like you have decks that are mono green and only splash for colors. It's rare to find any other decks that run like all black and only splash green
For, like,
all
one or two
black,
cards,
only
yeah.
splash red. It's rare to find those.
Like I was playing elves earlier today, historic mono green. I say it wasn't mono green, but it was green black elves. But hold on one second. Okay, we're good. The light on my recorder flickered, and I was like, "Why'd that happen?" I was playing against green black elves, and I was like, "Okay, this deck's usually kind of slow. Like I might be good."
Then turn 4, you're dead.
Well, no, they like turn 1 played their green black fast land or whatever, and like played a Land of War elf, and I was like, okay. So I untapped and like played I think it was a Fervent Champion, and like hit them for 1. Cool. They untapped and went like 2 more elves, Fatal Pusher, dude.
Ow.
And I was like, hold on, what? And they were just playing black for Fatal Push. And he Fatal Pushed like 3 of my guys that game. And I was like,
Brutal.
of course he has 3 copies of it too, like in his hand, like, and he just kills all my things. Like, yeah. So like green, like you were saying, like it's just mono green elves, and somebody was like, man, sometimes I get blown out by like fast decks. I'll just play Fatal Pushes in it, and okay, sure.
Dude, I played Tron. The only color I go other than colorless is green.
Okay, so I'm glad we finally got here, because what I really wanted to do in this episode of the podcast was just complain about Ancient Stirrings the whole time. Like, I just wanted to build into it naturally and not start off with it.
I hate you too, Devin.
Because that's the best example of a green card that has no business existing. Like, I mean, come on, it really is. It really has no business existing. Like, if that was a mono blue card, if it was a blue card, fine, okay, fine. But it's not. You're like, it's a green card. Why does green get to do this?
Because it's ramp. You
Like,
don't get land. Okay, I honestly think when that card was printed, that they thought that's mainly what you're going to do with it.
You're just
like,
gonna, yeah,
you would like 9 out of 10 times just get a land.
yeah.
But when the land you can get is a Tron land, it's a little different.
Or what else? Can't you get other things off of it too? Can't you get a colorless card?
You can get a colorless card or that's a land.
So
like any artifact or land.
So you can get Ugin and like Karn off of it too, though,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Oh,
any
100%.
colorless. Yeah. So you're just like Ancient Stirrings. Oh, sweet, there's Karn. Like, it's the utility is so ridiculous. It's like, oh man, I kind of need my last Tron piece. There it is. Or you're like, I got Tron, I just don't have a way to win. Oh, there's Ugin. Like, and it digs you so far deep. If it was just like
3 cards,
Yeah.
probably not
If
playable.
it was like the top 3 cards, okay, fine. But it's not. It's 5 cards in.
Dude, okay.
Come on, man.
Look at Collected Company.
Collected Company is another green card that has no business existing. Like
that should be 4 cards deep, not 6.
dude, oh god, like I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. Like, yeah, dude, 6 cards deep.
Like, that's what I don't understand. Is like, where does WotC decide where to put the limits.
You know what's crazy about Collected Company 2 is that it's just 1 green and 3 colorless.
Yeah, that should be made.
It should be like triple green, like
yeah, like 2 greens even pushing it.
Yeah, like
triple green should probably be where it's at.
3 green and 1, 3 green and 1.
Yeah,
and then you can dig 6 cards deep into your deck. Fine, but for 1 green and 4 or 1 green and 3, it's just
it should be
God,
like
dude.
it should be like 2 green and 2 for dig 4 cards.
Yeah, double green. Okay, 2 green, 2, 4 mana total. Dig 4 deep.
There should be no reason that it's 1 and 3
For
and 6 cards, and to put that much CMC on the board.
And the fact that they can do it on like turn 3. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can like turn 1 a elf, turn 2 like whatever the hell they want to do. Turn 3, wham, Coco.
I mean, they can turn 3 playing Endurance.
Yeah, turn 3 Endurance, turn 4 Collected Company. Yeah. Like, in elves, it's just gross because they do it and they're like, look, I just hit Allosaurus Shepherd. Like, Allosaurus Shepherd.
Again, like, what are you doing, Watsy?
Allosaurus Shepherd. Dude, every time I see that card get played against me, I forget that it exists because it only got printed in, what was it, Jumpstart? It's the only thing it was printed in.
Yeah.
So, like, in the physical world, it's really rare to see an Allosaurus Shepherd. They hardly exist. But online, you see them in every green deck, every elves deck, you see it. And it's just like, okay, here's this dude. He's not even an elf himself. He doesn't need to be.
He's like a human shaman or something?
Yeah, like, he doesn't even, it's the fact that it's not an elf and elves plays 4 copies of it, you know, it's like, it's just a 1/1 dude, and it's like, oh yeah, I don't remember how many mana it is, but you're playing elf, so it's an irrelevant amount of mana. For an irrelevant amount of mana, just all your things have base power and toughness of 5/5.
Okay.
Now, when you have 3 lords out, and then you play Allosaurus Shepherd, it's like, well, cool. I guess all these 8/8s are great, thanks. Like, 1 mana 8/8s, awesome, love it.
Might tilt some people. I personally do not believe that you should have, like, lords are fine. Don't care about lords. You should not make a card that's a creature that can go, hey, all of your creatures become this.
Yeah.
I don't think that should exist. Like, having it to where it's like, hey, this creature becomes this, perfectly fine with.
Dude, it's like worse than Craterhoof Behemoth in a way, because like Craterhoof might be gross and like in the game immediately, but you can talk your way, quote, you can talk your way out of Craterhoof. Like if you have the right removal spells or like a Settle the Wreckage or something, like you can get out of Craterhoof. But like Allosaurus Shepherd, if you don't deal with it, so like they can play it if they have a way, if it has haste or they have a way to give it like whatever, tap it immediately or I think they can just dump the mana. There's no.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a tap. It's just like
just
a pay
5 mana or something.
Like, yes, it's a good amount of mana, but like I said, it's elves. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, in elves it's arbitrary, right? So they can play it, immediately buff their dudes. You kill it. Okay, they're still all 8/8s now or 9/9s, whatever, and then like they smash you and you die. Or the next turn, like, does it go away or do they just stay that big?
No, I think it's until end of turn.
Until end of turn? Okay. Like that's not as gross, but it's still, I don't know.
Cards with fire breathing. You're like the traditional sense of fire breathing.
Yeah.
Ups power, does nothing to defense.
The fact that this buffs their defense is insane.
A lot of the other cards, and like that was in red. A lot of the other colors that had the form of that was +2 attack, -2 defense.
Yeah.
So it was like they had that ability, but it weakened them. Green just gets buff every freaking thing.
Yeah.
No, that's not. I'm gonna say it. That's not fair.
Yeah.
That is not fair.
And then when you add the amount of ramp that they get to on top of like so not only do they have all these other abilities they've gained throughout the years and all these other keywords and stuff they used to not have, they still retain that like ridiculous ability they originally had of like, we just get to ramp. So it's turn 4 and we have 8 mana and you don't. Like, and that's all. I've always kind of had an issue with the ramp as just being like it
4 mana card should be played on turn 4.
exactly. 4 mana cards should be played on turn 4, not turn 2. Like 8 mana cards should be played on turn 8, not turn 4. Like,
I mean, I agree to it.
looking at you, Tron. Yeah.
Okay, but that's the thing. Tron, you have to have 3 specific lands.
Yeah, you have to jump through some hoops in Tron
Half
to
my
do it.
deck is built to try and get those 3 lands.
Exactly. So that doesn't bother me quite as much. But in green, just incidentally having the ramp and it just being so easy to attain and you not having to jump through any hoops to have it is gross.
Like, okay, you were talking about like the drawing for green. The crazy thing with green is your creatures are your ramp. So when you have enchantments or other creatures that make it so that when you play a creature, you draw a card, but that creature you just played as ramp, you are getting double. You're getting card advantage and land advantage.
Yeah.
And you're getting miles ahead of your opponent.
Well, it's almost like card draw. You're also like you're getting card draw and land ramp almost. Yeah.
And like it's brutal. And then later on in the game, you can just turn your excess lands you don't need anymore into attackers that are 5/5s.
When you have a card like Nisa that literally turns your cards into like 3/3 elemental creatures. Yeah, you're just like, oh, I'm getting flooded. Nisa, start turning all my cards into 3/3s now. Like
green, the resilience that they put into green is astounding.
Yeah.
That they did that and didn't look at it as, overpowered or think that maybe they were, doing something wrong.
Yeah. So we're getting a little low on battery here on my recorder, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. But yeah, that's kind of our outlook on green. So if you're watching this on YouTube, leave us a comment. Tell us how you feel about green. Tell us if you think it's overpowered, if you think we're wrong, if you think ramp is busted, and complain about the arena shuffler. Yeah.
Let us know what color you want us to talk about next.
Yeah. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe. We're on Spotify, Google Podcast. I don't know if we're on Apple yet. I haven't even checked again. Like, I was just kind of giving up on them. But we're on a bunch of different platforms. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And we have been greatness at any cost. And we'll be back next week.
Peace.